Hi everyone, Galen Fincher here with 123cruisefree.com and finchersadventures.com. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the travel protection. Now, I may read through this list of our travel protection from our page on finchersadventures.com. If you'd like to find this will be under the Extras tab and you can click on Travel Protection. Now, some people are under the misconception that travel protection is for really only two things. If you'd like to cancel, or if you need to cancel, or lost luggage and things of that nature. And it's really just not so. Well, and it may be so for some particular travel protection plans, but the plans that we use are door-to-door protection. That means that if anything should happen from the time that you leave, going on your cruise or resort vacation, to the time you return home, from your vacation, you're covered. And sometimes when people think of cancellations, they think, well, I might need to cancel just because I can't get off of work, or my son's got a World Series baseball tournament, or I just might decide I don't want to go. I mean, while those are valid, reasons that you might want to cancel, that's not really what we're talking about here. What we're talking about are unexpected things that might happen on the way to your vacation, or unexpected things that might happen while you're on vacation. So pardon me if I read from the list. Let's just run through some of these. Flight delays, injuries and illness, unpredictable weather, lost or stolen luggage. Okay, so many times unfortunately, I've had some of these things happen to clients where they might be injured while they're on vacation. Well, your U.S. health insurance is not going to cover you while you're in Mexico or Jamaica or Nassau, Bahamas. Those aren't parts of the United States. So the reason that we tell you that you should get the travel protection is that the travel protection will reimburse you for medical expenses that you use on your vacation, so that you incur while you're on vacation. And that the cost of the travel protection is like 10%. That is nothing. That is not even close to what it would cost you to go to the emergency room for one person. So it's so inexpensive. It's just really, I don't know how anyone would travel without it. Every time we go on vacation, our whole family gets it because my kids are accident prone. Just a couple years ago, my son was in the ocean swimming. He had broken his arm right before vacation, so he's in the ocean with this rubber thing covering his cast. And I'm looking out into the ocean. He's swimming, and every time I see him, he's like another 40 foot over. The tide is slowly dragging him. I'm like, golly, anything could happen. And that's really why you get the travel insurance, is because anything could happen. While we don't want anything to happen, we want to make sure that you're covered in the event that something does happen. So let me look at these right quick. Flight delays, trip interruption. Yes, yes, yes. So here's some other things. Now, the cruise lines will typically try to take care of you as far as trip interruption. If there's a storm that comes up and they get diverted to another place, they'll try to reimburse you somehow. They don't always do that, but sometimes they do, so that you don't miss, it doesn't ruin your entire vacation. Well, the travel protection will reimburse you for any days lost on vacation. Airlines are notorious for not reimbursing anything. So the travel protection will cover you for flight delays and things of that nature. Now here's something people never think about, and that's what happens if I'm on vacation and something happens to people at home. Now my dad is like 72, and he's at that age where, while he was healthy a couple of years ago, a lot of things have started to happen rather quickly. He has had a triple bypass, he's had prostate surgery, he has had a detached retina, and he just recently had back surgery. So, I mean, you can see, pow, 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 how all of these things that have happened would kind of worry you while you're on vacation. So, and the reason I'm putting that out there is this. I've had at least 2 clients that have had family members pass away while they're on vacation. It happened the second day of their vacation. And that's the thing. We never think about what's going on at home. We're just thinking about having a good time and taking care of our family while we're on vacation. So on the second day of their vacation, well, in one instance, the couple heard their name come across the PA while they're on the cruise ship, and that's the one thing that you never want to hear. You never want to hear your name come across the PA on a cruise ship, because it's like being in a department store in the old days where they would tell you to come get your kid. It's kind of like that. You know you're kind of in trouble. Something bad has happened. And that's exactly what happened. In that particular instance, it was a father-in-law that had passed away. And what the travel protection did was they not only did they prearrange transfers back to the airport, they prearranged flights, they also paid for the unused portion of the vacation. This happened on the second day of a 7-day vacation. So they got reimbursed for the other 5 days that they get. Well, may have even gotten reimbursed for 6 days because that second day was a partial. But still, that's something that you never think about. You know, in that particular instance, it's going to be traumatic for you. You don't want to have to handle it. And that's what the travel protection company is for. They deal with that. If you lose your passport, if you've got a passport and you lose it, they can help get you a brand new one. I've got a story on our 123 Cruise Free website about a guy that he was at Nassau, Bahamas. Everyone's heard of Atlantis. So he and his family are taking a tour of Atlantis. They're supposed to meet at a checkpoint at 3 p.m. He waits until 3 p.m. It's a ghost town. 4 p.m. It's a ghost town. All of a sudden he hears the ship is getting ready to pull out of port. A golf cart whips in. Are you Mr. So-and-so? Yes, I'm Mr. So-and-so. The ship is leaving without you. So he gets to the port, the ship is pulling away. He can literally touch it with his foot, but once that ship's going, there's no way to stop it. So the reason I'm using this example is because a lot of things went into effect immediately after that. One, all the passports were carried by another passenger in a backpack. So he's in the Bahamas, doesn't have his passport. How does he get back to either the next port or back to the United States? That's a tough call, right? So lucky for him, the person that had picked him up in that golf cart is communicating with the ship, and they're talking back and forth, and they're like, all right, you need to spend the night, 2 nights in this hotel right here. Then you need to go to the U.S. Embassy in the Bahamas, and you need to make a passport application. 2 days later, you'll have your passport, and you can fly to the next destination. Well, you know, by the time it was all said and done, he's thousands of dollars in deep into this thing. He can't even fly to the next port because the ship is already making its way back home. So all he can do is go back home. I think he lived in Miami. So he meets up with his family in Miami. So he pretty much missed the majority of his vacation. But had he had the travel protection would have immediately covered all of those expenses. They would have rushed him, had him hot rushed a replacement passport, and then taken care of his lodging and things of that nature, and the flights to get him to the next port. I mean, those are things that no one really thinks about, but it can always happen. So that's what the travel protection is for. That's the reason I always say get the travel protection. It's not because we're selling the travel protection. It's because, you know what? This is going to give you peace of mind that if something does happen, you'll be taken care of and you won't have to worry about it. Okay? So, I always say get the travel protection, get the travel protection, get the travel protection, and get a passport. So, the reason being because that story with the passport, that passenger that lost his passport, had he only had a birth certificate, that story would have went way differently. It would have taken a substantially longer amount of time to get him back into the U.S. So, get a passport. All right, guys, that's it for today. I will talk to you later. Again, Galen Fincher with 123cruisefree.com.